Hey YouTube, it's Soul Prime 13 coming at you with another Transformers video review. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new Studio Series The Last Night Barricade. And we'll start with a quick look at the box. Here we have his licensed Mustang mode. And there we got his mugshot. We do get some wraparound art there. And as always, he is an Autobot. Transformers Studio Series, Barricade. Oh, he's a Decepticon on this side. Got our legal jargon on the bottom, and we do get our product shots on the bottom. We do get a little holographic QR code for the licensing, and there's a Ford licensing sticker as well. We do get a little screen cap and a little bio, and for some reason the shade of gray makes it a little awkward to read that. Yeah, that's harder to read than usual. But yeah, and then we have our product shots. But that's it for the box. And we get our lovely instruction booklet with all of our little steps. So yeah, there is that. But yeah, this guy is a little bit of a controversial one among some people, just because of mainly the legs. They are a bit awkward. I mean, again, it's a lot to do with that licensing bit, making the car super accurate. But we'll go ahead and do our size comparison due to next to the original, and you can see while the rest of the robot is pretty, accurate, the legs on the original look a lot better. But he does still come with his 6-gun arm cannon thing. He does come with a couple of pistols. They're a little different than this original one, and he doesn't have to hold it at an awkward angle like the original. But yeah, that's how he stacks up with the original figure. So, and for another quick comparison, here he is next to the 07 Studio Series Barricade, just so you can see how they stack up. And he does feel quite a bit bulkier, I'll give him that. So, but we'll go over his accessories real quick. He does, again, have the 6-gun arm cannon, which just splits in two, and you can see there are little tabs inside that just tab into his arm. That's how that connects. He does have sort of an awkward arm bend here, as you can see. He does come with these 2 pistols that can holster on his hips with these extra long tabs. But he does have this one here that feels a little bit more like a modern pistol. And then he has this one that's like a super wacky revolver. So there is that. And they both, fit into his hands. They both have the usual peg. If I can get it into his hand. Come on. There we go. So yeah, he can definitely hold them both. And then he gets this sort of arm blaster here, which just pegs in via this tab. I can't remember. Does it go on both sides? No, it does not go on both sides. It's specifically for this arm. And I believe, yeah, the same is true of this, because you can see there's a tab, or there's a slot, no slot. So, yeah, they're sort of a side exclusive, but that is it for all of his accessories. One thing the instruction does tell you to do is to angle these. They're like really tight. It does say they like come separate in the instructions, but they are actually pre-installed. Yeah, I usually just leave them, but I did angle them specifically for this video. But yeah, they're a little snug, so I usually don't bother with that step. Another part that's really snug is this chest section, but we'll get to that. As far as articulation goes, he does have a ball jointed head. He can't really get 360. Well, yeah, not really, due to the shape of the panel his head is on, as well as the side hood pieces for his torso. The arms are on somewhat restricted ball joints. There is some like sculpted sections to give it more movement in certain directions. Again, he does have this sort of like weird bend to his arm that I think is kind of wacky. And then he has ball jointed elbows, so you do get some decent movement there. Let's see, we do get a full 360 waist. We do get ball jointed hips, and we do get sort of chicken leg levels of articulation to the transformation hinges, as there is a hinge, and then a ball joint for the foot. Oh, and a hinge here as well for the ankle tilt. So you can get some serious chicken leg action going on there if you really want to. Fortunately, most of the joints are sort of soft ratcheted, so they don't wobble around too much or anything. But yeah, do get a fair bit of posability there. But yeah, not sure there's too much else I want to discuss on the robot mode. So I guess we'll go ahead and get into the transformation. So first things first, we are gonna straighten these. Like I said, they're really snug. And then we're gonna bring this back, just sort of open these doors. This can be a little bit of a hassle to work around, but then we are gonna come here to this piece of the hood and fold that up like so. And we're gonna come here, this black piece here on the tummy, it's just gonna untab and come up and over, and this part folds up to create the rest of the bumper armor. I forget what it's called. But yeah, this part is extremely snug, as you can see. So, but yeah, and then we're just gonna sort of bring that hood together like so. Then I'm gonna come here and trying to work around these, because unfortunately they don't fold out the opposite way. They only fold in, they don't fold out, which would make this part a little easier, but do want to fold the arms inward. And the reason they have this bend in them is because the arms need to sit a little higher. But let's see if we can. Oh, that's starting to pop off actually. Let's get this under there though. There we go. Then we bring this in. We're going to do the same on the other side. And come on. Try to get that leg out of the way. Well, there we go. Make sure to get that in there. Make sure those are tabbed together like so. And yeah, your arms are gonna sit in there like so. But now we can work on the legs. And the first thing we're gonna do is we are going to see, I believe we want to turn it this way. You're gonna engage those extra hinges and bring this over. And there we go. Just fold those up together like so, and then you're going to bring the foot over, and it'll create the rest of the wheel well here. And we are going to have to, forgot to twist that around. Is that going to fit? No, I'm going to have to redo the arms. Okay. Flip this around, get those back in there. There we go. Yeah, we want to turn this, and then you're gonna, actually no, turn it this way. You're gonna engage that and bring it to a 90-degree angle, Then again with this side, and then you're going to use the ball joint and that rotation hinge to bring this up and over together like that, so that you create the rest of the wheel well. Then you are going to just tab his legs together like so. Make sure those arms are in the right spot. And you just bring this whole hood and roof section back. You can see there are two little tabs right there that are going to squeeze together. Just bring this all together. Make sure everything lines up. And then just make sure these doors, there is a little tab right here, like right here, that does need to go underneath. And I think that is everything, and there we have him in his vehicle mode. There we go. And for a quick size comparison, here he is next to B127, just so we get a Bumblebee cameo in, get his rival in there. So there's that. But yeah, overall it is a nice looking vehicle mode, I'll give it that. I also forgot to mention he does not have the sculpted brass knuckles on this version, which is a bummer. Hopefully we'll get like some sort of upgrade kit for him that might give him those or something, though I don't know. There's not really a ton of space in there as far as his arms go. There's definitely some space here and here, but yeah, he's also got visible head syndrome type 1. But yeah, overall still a very cool looking menacing police car. And he does roll. Oop. He does have pinned in wheels despite all the ball joints for the joints, so interesting, but I am not complaining about pinned in wheels. Pinned in wheels are definitely a better option. But we do still have all of this, and everything does store onto his vehicle mode. So for the pistols, there are some slots right here and right here just on the back, and then we'll just slide in there like so, and then the other one will go on this side like so. And then for this piece, there is a big slot right here, sort of, yeah, there, and there's a tab on it that will go in like so. And if you notice, there is a tab and slot up here on the top, and basically what you do is, because of the way these are shaped, this is the tab slide, and then this goes in the slot side, and now you have that on top just like the original. So that is how that works. So you do get weapon storage for all of his weapons, which is nice. So yeah, very cool. So yeah, again, I was able to get the old barricade somewhat recently through a sale on TF Source. Again, I really only buy stuff from them when I see a good sale, but that is how I managed to acquire this guy. And I do like his overall sculpt a little bit better, especially considering he has some of those like little details like the knuckle dusters and all that. But overall, I do not dislike the new version. I think my biggest issue with it is just there are a couple of things like the lights and the front of the bumper armor that I cannot remember the exact term for. This piece right here are just really tight. But otherwise, you know, I don't have too many gripes about him. His legs are weird, I will give people that. But again, when it comes to these like officially licensed vehicles, they have to prioritize the vehicle mode, and that's why stuff like that happens. So, but overall, I still think it's a good figure and a nice little update. And I'm sure that there's a good chance we'll get like some little upgrade kit that'll, you know, maybe give him different arm pieces with the knuckle dusters or something like that. But we'll have to wait and see. But honestly, if you have the original version, I'm not really sure if he's like worth picking up the new one over that, unless you really like the character. I do think he's fine on his own, but yeah, I do think I still slightly prefer the older one, just because he has a little bit more of those little fun like details that made Barricade popular in the first place. Because they're worried about the punish and enslave and the knuckle dusters and stuff now, which I think is just ridiculous. But yeah, aside from that, I think he's fine. I'd probably give him like a 6.5, a 7. I don't absolutely love him, but I think if you like the character or you just like bad cop characters, I think he's at least worth picking up. But I think that's all I really have to say here, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this review. And this is Soul Prime 13 saying transform and soul out.